Alrighty guys, so where you are at the moment is pretty much here. Alright, you would have done one row of your join and then another 8 rows. So altogether you should have 9 rows. Alright, now this part here is optional. So what I would like to do now is to change colours from the brown to the grey. Alright, now this is not necessary. If you don't want to change colours, all you need to do is another 5 rows of the brown. But before anyone goes anywhere, what I want you to do is flip your work. Remember these tails that we had at the base of your work, or sort of up the top there where your pocket stood? What you're going to do quickly is sew this thread in. But what I want you to do is find a little, that much out of the way, find a little piece of thread that you can go around like that, go in. I would go down because I want to get into the pocket. I would like this thread to go inside your pocket and weave it in on the inside of the pocket. So let's go that way, which will be there and there on the inside of your pocket. That's the front of your pocket, and you want that needle to go on the inside of your pocket. Pull that thread through and then turn it in and just weave it in on the inside of your pocket through some thicknesses like so. Now before you pull that thread through, make sure you cannot see that thread, and I can see it right there, and we don't want that. So what we want to do, let's take that out and pop it through some threads where it's not going to be noticeable, right on the inside. Can you see it anywhere? You can still see it there. All right, so find a place that's not noticeable. I can't see that there, so we'll do that bit first. There. And then you're going to find another thread which will be right down here. Oops, on the other end, sorry. Hello, down this way, all the way down here, right there. And you're going to do the same. You're going to sew that in real quickly inside the pocket. Now the other side might be a little bit awkward because this side will be complete. This way you've got plenty of space to open up your piece. But at least you have the option here to pop your thread on the inside right there. I'm going to pop it in there. Oh, watch your fingers don't get pinned like I just did. Ow, ow, ow. Pop it on the inside of the pocket and don't pin yourself, guys. All right. So this side might be a little easier because there's a lot more thicknesses, but still be very careful. I'm just going to pop it in top loops because that way I know I'm not going to go through to the other side. So 3 times, yeah? Give it a cut. If you want, just pop your finger through here and check, but it looks like everything is perfect there. Everything is perfect on the front. So weaving it in on the inside does help you. Do this one here on the inside. Find some stitches on the inside of that pocket. And for now, what we're going to do is simply this. I'm going to do 2 rows of the grey and 3 rows of the brown. All right. Now, if you do not want to do that, if you don't want to change your colours and worry about weaving in ends, you could do 5 rows of your brown and meet us back here once you're done. All right. But for the rest of us who would like to change the colours, it gives it a bit of a colour burst and makes it look simply divine. Just undo your last stitch like so, and you're going to start, let's bring this up a little, your last stitch, pull the loop through, drop the brown. Grab your grey, like so, and just pop it over the hook like we do with all our colour change. Pull that loop through. Just grab that grey, passing it forward for a minute so we can lock it into place with a chain 1. Turn your piece. A little awkward. Make sure you've given yourself a nice tail for weaving in ends, yeah? And then just simply do 1 single crochet in the same stitch where you are, like you would any other row, yeah? Pop your stitch marker in and continue to do your single crochets all the way across your piece. All right, it's very simple to colour change if you want, not necessary. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You can continue doing your next 5 rows of your brown. But for me, I'm going to do 2 rows of the grey and 3 rows of the brown, and then we can all meet back here and we can talk about what we're going to do next. All right, so what I would suggest you to do right now is to cut your brown, because you're going to need to add it later. So cut your brown, do your 2 rows of the grey. When you attach your brown later, do the same way we did here, and this is where you can come back to do the change of colour combination. And I've split my stitch there, but that doesn't bother you. All right, so head off on your own. Do your 2 rows of grey, 3 rows of brown, or do 5 rows of brown. Meet me back here once you're done, and then we will talk about what we're going to do next. What you should have here is 8 rows of your brown, 2 rows of grey, and 3 rows of your brown. You should be at your very last stitch. All you're doing is single crocheting in that very last final stitch. Chain 1, pulling up your loop, checking your work, making sure everything's correct, because we are going to cut our work right there. All right, so that is one side of your pocket shawl complete. Now, to work on the opposite side. It's very exciting, the opposite side. So simple. You know why? All you're going to do is the row that you ended on right there, that section, go to that opposite section, and that's where you're starting. So grab your thumb and just turn your work around and pop your hook in. Now, where you're going to pop your hook in is remember when we started at the beginning of this tutorial and you had to put clamps on here, make sure you did your, what was it, 10 inches? Where's the measuring tape? Hello, I was here a minute ago. All right, remember when you had to do your 10 inches like that and you put clamps on there, but then we worked out it was about 32 stitches for me. Yours wouldn't have been 32, yours might have been more, right? And then you popped your clamps in there like that. I'm just going to pop one in to show you what you did. All right, and then you went over here to the end, all right, the base of your work, and you popped your hook, not in that stitch, but in the stitch right next to it, and in the stitch directly opposite it. So you're actually omitting that stitch completely. So remove that stitch marker, grab your brown, and pop your tail over your hook, and just pull your loop through like so, grabbing that little tail, passing it forward, chain 1, and single crochet in the whole stitch between the 2 sides. All right, grab your stitch marker like so, and just grab your little tail, passing it at the back, single crochet into your second stitch there, and into, you're already in that stitch, be careful, yeah, you're going into that next, yep, the next stitch. I even had to look at that, yeah, and that's it. That's pretty much what you're doing. You did the same on the opposite side anyways, so you know what you're doing. You're going to single crochet all the way over to that stitch marker, all right, so like so. And there you go. All right, I'm not going to let you see. Watch me do this. You've done this before anyways. So what I want you to do, this was the hard part, right? The easy part is not pulling your thread like that, like I just did, right? Do you like that? The easy part is doing exactly what we did on this side that we did on the opposite side. But I want you to get to that stitch marker there, and we'll get to there, we'll do that together. We'll do the rest of the row until we get to the other side, and after that I'll let you head off on your own and finish the rest. But in the meantime, just get to that stitch marker there, meet me back here once you're done, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are closer to that section. Now I wanted to show you what to do here. Okay, remember that very last stitch before your little jagged edge there, your single crochet rows there. From here you needed to do 1, 2 and 3, that's split, I'll fix up in a minute, 3 single crochets across. So 1 into your next space and then 1 into the next stitch on the opposite side. 1 into, I'm going to take that out because mine is split here. 1 into the second row there, and then 1 into your second last stitch on the opposite side, just make sure that's tight, and then 1 into the very last stitch, which is your top stitch right there. So you pop your hook in there and you go into that very last stitch on that side. All right, before you continue actually, is you need to count your stitches across here. Make sure they marry up, let's bring that out again, with the amount that you did along here. That will, I'll bring this down a little bit, it's playing up, will mean that your row will be even, your pocket will be even. There's nothing worse than you've popped your pocket too low on one side and too high on the other, or vice versa. So make sure that it marries up, all right? Doesn't matter too much. Once you pop your hands in those pockets, you're going to be stretching this pocket because that's what happens with pocket shawls, all right? But you do want to make sure it's straight all the way across, all right? So make sure yours marries up. I counted mine off air and I know that mine marries up. So I'm not going to waste your time. We're just going to continue right along. Now, we have just popped the last single crochet from our pocket onto our shawl there. So we need to jump into the very next stitch. All right, you can see where the stitch is in. You can see how my work is pulling there. Yep. So we're jumping right into the next brown and we are doing our single crochet into every stitch all the way across your piece. Super duper easy now. You've done this before with the other row. You are actually popping your hook, and let me show you. It's going into that top space and you're getting your 2 loops on top. There's no back loops or front loops here. You're just going through the whole stitch itself, all right? You don't need to see me do this. You know what you're doing. And this, it's going to be quick, this part here, all right? This one's a lot easier than the opposite side because the opposite side we were working in the base row of our work. And that was awkward. It was really tight. All right, for me it was anyway. So your job, easy job, to do your single crochet brown all the way up till you get to the opposite side. Now, once again, with the opposite side, you need to put your clamps on it. Make sure you've counted your amount that you had across this way, that you did across that way. Make sure it's all straight. And when you get to this section right here, stop there, meet me there, and then we will talk about what we're going to do next. All right, head off on your own, get to this section here, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of this side. Now I'm going to, well, I've got 1 stitch left before the stitch marker. I'm going to do that one. And I hope you can't hear the builders working in the background, guys. If you can, my apologies. I've tried to dim it out as much as I can, but hopefully it's okay. All right, so what you want to do is firstly, make sure that your stitch count is correct on this side as it was on that side. Yeah. So what I want you to do is pop your hook. I'm going to remove my stitch marker because I know that's the next stitch and I know this is the next stitch. All right. So what you want to do is pop your hook in the very first stitch. Is that far away? Problem is we're using darker colors now. This is as dark as I'm getting online, guys. So pop your hook in there. Yeah. pop it into the stitch on the opposite side. Now you're in this stitch, so you're going right into the very next stitch. Now it's up to you what you want to do with this tail. This tail here is going to be sewn into your pocket. So my suggestion, if you've got one, if you haven't got it and you weaved it in, more power to you, is to pop it in your pocket this way and just pull that down and then crochet like normal, like so. All right, and then remember you have 1 and 2 more stitches here before your next stitch. All right, going into the next second row or second stitch, into that next stitch, I'm going to pull that tail down still. That's not the one. Pull that tail down still. Hello. Pulling the wrong tail here. There. And do my single crochet over that stitch. And the tail is inside now. Okay. Single in your next row. And then over across the side into your next stitch. There. And that's the hard part done. The rest, you know. Make sure you're not going into the same stitch here. Make sure you're going into the very next one and the very next one, the very next one. All right, so I'm just going to take out this. I don't need it here anymore. Well, I don't anyways. All right, and that little tail that you tucked in there is hidden, and you're going to weave that tail in like we did on the opposite side. You're going to weave that tail deep down into your work on the inside of your pocket. It's going to be a little awkward because this one here is all closed up, but you can turn it inside out and do it. You know, there's nothing you can't do. There's nothing we can't do in crochet. We are magic makers. Do you like that? We're magic makers. All right. So single in there, single in there. It's super easy. You know this. What I might do is not let you head off on your own. I'm just going to pop this on fast and we're going to get down to the base, and I will meet you there in just a moment, and off we go. All right, I am nearing the end of the row here, guys. I have 2 more stitches to go. And let me show you a close-up there. I'm lying. I have 1 more stitch to go. There's 2. 1 and 2, and 1 and 2. And I'll show you in a minute. It's a little awkward because we can't get our finger in there to find where the next one is. But that's your second last one there. And your last one is there, and the opposite side there, and that's that spare stitch that you don't go into. All right, so you could, if you wanted to, do a slip stitch into it, but I wouldn't because it pulls down the base. All right, so there we go. We have done our row that we were supposed to do. Our full row is now complete. Before you do anything else, you are going to count your stitches across this way and make sure they marry the stitch that you counted last on the last row of this side. Well, it's not the last row, it was the first row of this side. All right, make sure they marry up the same amount. Otherwise, your pocket is going to be crooked. I know mine marry up. I already counted that, so we're on our way. Now what you want to do here, you want to do what we did with the opposite side, and that is to chain one. Oh, we've chained 1 already. Hello. No, we haven't. Have I? Well, we'll do it now. Chain 1. I couldn't remember if I chained 1 on the other side or not. Anyway, here we are. Chain 1. Single crochet in the same stitch you are in. Like so. Grabbing your stitch marker and pop it in there. Simple, simple. Single in your next stitch, single in your next, single in your next, single in your next, all the way through. It's super duper easy, yeah? Super duper easy. You're not going to have a problem with this, and I'm going to give you some instructions. All right, let's fold everything up so I can give you these instructions. Alrighty guys, I just had to transition that because the stand collapsed, as it does. Don't you love it? So what I want you to do now is to do your 8 rows of single crochet that you did here. That's what you're doing here. You're going to do your 2 rows in the grey, and then you're going to do 3 brown rows. So exactly what we've done here, you're going to do there. All right, so head off on your own, make 8 brown rows, 2 grey rows and 3 brown rows, or you can make 13 brown rows. You don't need to change your colours. Meet me back here once you're done, and then we will talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so I'm struggling to fit everything in now. Don't you love it? It's really difficult on our table here. All right, so what I've got left, and look at my yarn chicken. Don't you love it? Literally, that is the last bit of thread I have. So pat me on the back, guys. To be fair, I did tighten up this row a little bit, especially down the end on purpose because I was running out of the brown. So there you go. You should be at your very last stitch. Get excited. Pop your hook in. Pull the loop through. Pull the loop through 2 loops, like so, and pull up a loop. Cut your thread. Well, I don't need to cut much because, well, that's mine. But cut your thread and pull that loop through. Get way too excited, guys. You have completed your pocket shawl, but not yet. Not yet. You need to weave in these ends. Now, the final end, entirely up to you on how you want to weave that in, okay? Entirely up to you. Now, there are many ways you could take that knot undone and play with this area and make it like a fancy join. Entirely up to you. Oh, here we go. We're so far away. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the good old-fashioned way where I find a way to weave it in at the back. All right. So my job, usually what I do is I go down a stitch down the back of the work, right? But that's not going to work here, and this knot is going to stick up. So all I'm going to do is go through some of the loops under the stitches of the last few stitches you did, but I'm going to go further in because I don't want to leave, I don't want it coming undone. So because it is the last thread after all, and it kind of just sort of sits itself there. It doesn't do anything fancy, it just sits. Don't pull it too tight because this is already pulling in, yeah? So don't pull it too tight. Your shawl does need a washing and blocking. If you don't want to do that, it's not necessary, but I would suggest doing it, yeah? And you're going to cut this thread very carefully, and you know why? Because that's your last thread. And we don't want to make a hole in our pocket shawl, yes? All right, so you know what, guys? It's really hard for me to show you the pocket shawl like this. So we're going to do this. And there you have it, guys. Our gorgeous pocket shawl is now complete. A perfect gift for your family or your friends, or even for yourself for Christmas. Don't forget, guys, to join us on our lives at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons, 10 a.m. Saturday mornings, Melbourne, Australia time. I love my pocket shawl. My name is Mary, and this is Wild Crochet Designs. Ciao for now.